Hello and welcome to today's video about how to use our IMAP activities to retrieve info about emails, to save their attachments and move email messages from one email folder to another. In this example, the robot will access the email folder, invoices unprocessed, in order to retrieve information about them, and after that will save the attached invoices locally, in a specific folder. Let's begin. We strongly believe in simplicity, but real life has complex use cases. That's why the best way to address them is through state-machine flows. Let's open the first sequence, Get Email, where we will retrieve info about emails. Add a Get Email message activity which belongs to category IMAP. To store email info as output, we will create a variable, mail list, of type list of mail message. For this, go to the Variables section, set the variable name, extend the variable type drop-down list and select the last option, choose type list. In the variable construction, select type window and select list T under system collection generic. A new drop-down list system collection generic list appears in order to select the type of elements in the list. Again, select the last option, choose type. A second variable construction, select type window appears. Type mail message and select the option under system net mail and press OK. Fill in the server address, port and SSL configuration. If you use a company email, ask the system admin for configuration, or just Google it, if you use a private email. Make sure the default value, false, is set for parameters, delete messages, only undead, and mark read. Type your username and password. As you can see, the password field converts plain text in secured text. Next step is to specify the email folder where messages should be retrieved from. The default value is the main inbox. If you want to access subfolders, use the IMAP protocol format, inbox.folder name like this, inbox, folder name. In our case we will set inbox, invoices unprocessed. Create an int32 variable named total emails. Add an assign value activity to define the total number of emails to be processed. Set the newly created int32 variable as input for assign value. For the output we will use the count method to count the number of elements in the list of mail messages. Add a show message box activity and let's test the flow we created so far. It works just fine. Adding a space will make the message more clear. Let's go back to the main workflow and add a new sequence, save attached invoice. Set the transition between Get Email and the newly created sequence, and rename it. Open the sequence and create a new variable, current email, of type mail message, to define the current email to be processed. Now, add an assign value activity and set the variable current email as input. The output is maillist of mail counter, meaning the element from the list of emails which position is defined by mail counter. Create a new variable mail counter of type int32 and set the default value to 0. Add a second show message box activity to test the previously created assignment value. The property subject of a variable type mail message returns the email subject. Now let's run the flow we created so far. The message about the number of emails to be processed is displayed again, and here is the second message. Create a new variable, destination folder, type string. to define the destination folder where to download the invoices attached to emails. Add a third assign value activity and set destination folder as input. For output, set the path of the destination folder. In this case, it will be the folder test download invoices. Don't forget to double the backslash in order to have the robot know it's not a meta character, but a normal character in the path string. Add a save email attachment activity. Set current email as input. Taking into account each email has only one attachment, the PDF invoice, set the default value of attachment index to 0. The destination file name requires the complete path, including the file name, so we will concatenate the destination path variable and a standard invoice name, invoice underscore plus mail counter plus .pdf. Let's go back to the main workflow and add a third sequence. Add a transition between save attached invoice and the newly created sequence. Also, rename the transition. Rename the sequence, open and move invoice. Open the sequence and add a start process activity. The process name is the destination file set in the save email attachment activity, invoice underscore plus mail counter plus .pdf. Add a wait activity and set the time parameter to 3000 milliseconds, meaning 3 seconds. Next, add a move mail message activity. Set the variable current email as input. The parameters server address, port, SSL, username and password receive the save values like in the previously added get mail message activity. The source folder is inbox.invoices unprocessed and destination folder is inbox.invoices processed. Let's go back again to the main workflow, add a new sequence and rename it new email. Also add the transition between open and move invoice in this new sequence. Rename the transition transition 4. In the new sequence add another assign value activity in order to increment the mail counter. Once an invoice is downloaded and the email is moved, the input is mail counter and the output is mail counter plus 1. Let's go back again to the main workflow and add a new sequence, which will be the end state of our workflow. Rename the sequence and set a transition between new invoice and this sequence. Set another transition from new email to save attached invoice and rename it transition 5. Now the sequence, new email, is the start point for two transitions, one to save attached invoice and one to the end sequence. As per state machine convention, there can't be two transitions without a condition. This is why it is very important to set conditions to each of the two transitions in order to have the robot know what's the next state from new email. If mail counter, after it's incremented by the assign value activity from new email, is still smaller than the total number of emails, transition 5 is selected and the robot goes again to sequence save attached invoice to process the next email from the list. Otherwise the robot will follow the end sequence and finish the execution. Open the end sequence and add a show message box activity in order to notify when the workflow run has completed successfully. We are all set, so let's run the project. The robot correctly identified 7 emails to be processed. Invoice 6 is the first email to be processed. And here it is downloaded and opened. And we have the confirmation that all 7 invoices were processed successfully. Let's go to the folder, Test Download Invoices, to check if the PDF files are there. Here they are, all 7 invoices were successfully downloaded. That's it. Thank you for watching.